The 33rd Annual Conference of the Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs is called to order. I'm Sam Brooks, the chairman of the board. Something that we've done since our beginning is take a moment of silence. That moment of silence is for our servicemen and women that are looking out for us around the world, and for our Owami members that we've lost in the last year. I would like for you to take that moment of silence at this time. Thank you. Now, our Governor Kate Brown will join us by video. Governor Kate Brown.
Good afternoon. I'm Governor Kate Brown. I'd like to thank my good friend Sam Brooks, Owami's founder and chair of the board, and I'd also like to thank the association, the board of directors, and volunteers for organizing and hosting this 33rd annual trade show and luncheon. I know it was a difficult decision to pivot back to a virtual event given the Delta variant, but it was the right decision to keep everyone safe. The good news is that while we still have a long way to go, it appears things are slowly getting better. I remain committed to increasing our vaccination rates, particularly for our communities of color, so we can defeat this virus for good. Despite the challenges COVID-19 continues to pose for Oregonians and our businesses, our economy is healthy, strong, and on a path towards recovery. I'm committed to leading with equity as we recover from the pandemic, building a safer, stronger, more just, and equitable Oregon for all. But I'm not doing it alone. We're doing this together with the support of organizations like Owami, who continue to support our small businesses and build bridges to connect with the government sector. Oregon's small businesses are truly the backbone of our economy. I know they have been deeply impacted by the pandemic. My priority is to protect the livelihoods of Oregonians through these challenging times by supporting both our workers and our businesses. For small businesses owned by members of our Black, Indigenous, Latino, Latina, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander, Native American, tribal, and linguistically diverse communities, I know that access to capital has been a persistent struggle. Last summer, I created the Racial Justice Council to center the voices of those who are most impacted by historical and institutional racism in Oregon. I'm so pleased that through the council's work, we were able to pass House Bill 2266. This bill is crucial as we begin to bridge the gap of economic inequities in accessing capital for communities of color and women-owned businesses. We were also able to secure funding to launch the first statewide disparity study through House Bill 5006. Looking forward, the Racial Justice Council is focused on addressing barriers and increasing access to state procurement and public contracting for minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses, leveraging the state's buying power with an eye towards equity is key to promoting an inclusive recovery and community economic development. All of these successes we have accomplished together through Owami's dedication to its mission of promoting and developing entrepreneurship and economic development for ethnic minorities, and thereby reducing racism and discrimination. Thank you all so much for your incredibly important work, and to Owami for forging enduring partnerships for more than 3 decades. I'd also like to thank Sam for his leadership and for never missing an Owami meeting in 34 years. And now it is a privilege that I, Kate Brown, Governor of the state of Oregon, hereby proclaim October 20th, 2021 to be Minority, Women, Emerging Small Business, and Disabled Veteran Business Day in Oregon, and encourage all Oregonians to join in this observance. Have a great conference.
Fantastic. Our good friend Kate Brown, as always, have said most of the things that I was going to say. So I don't need to say all those, but there are a few things I would like you to take with you if you're at this meeting. One of the things that we believe in is that everybody's in and nobody's out. Doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, your gender, your orientation, everybody's in, nobody's out. Make a note of that. Another thing, if you're a small business owner, large business owner, if you're in business and not making a profit, you're going out of business. Some people come and they tell us that we're in business because I want to help the kids, I want to help my church. No, you're in business to make a profit. When you make a profit, then you get to do all those other things. One other thing that we'd like you to remember is that you stay ready to be ready. Opportunities come, and if you're not ready, the opportunity goes. So stay ready to be ready. Our focus has been from the beginning, Oregonians United for Business Success. Each year, we changed the theme. This year's theme was Enduring Partnerships. The reason that we are where we are is because all of the partnerships over the beginning. Some of you know who you are that have been around a very long time. So now I'm going to have Jorge Guerra, who's the president, who's worked with me for 31 years now, to say a little bit about some of the accomplishments. Jorge.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Sam. It's been really a good time being working at Owami all these years and working with you. First, I want to start in saying thank you everyone for your support, your participation, and being able to be here at this 33rd annual conference. For Owami, during the pandemic, we were able to keep the doors open at the business incubator and keeping the day-to-day operations. And the doors were open for support to small businesses. Also, through the donated items that we got from PPE, we were able to provide those to different small businesses that were most needed. In other issues at Owami we accomplished is that during this time, since 2002 to today, we have reached the $15 million in providing macro loans. We have provided since 2002, 1,476 loans. The average loan for us is 10,200. And we keep working on that. And for that, I can say Owami requested and we were approved by the U.S. Small Business Administration additional funding for $400,000 that we will have for the macro loan to keep working with those. During this period of the pandemic to today, we provide one-on-one technical assistance to 97 different small businesses, along with other many phone calls that we receive about how to do business, where to find money, and we were referring those businesses also to different partners. The partnership that we have with the public sector, private sector, and other nonprofits has increased for us, and we are looking into continue working partnerships for everybody to be helping small businesses. I want to mention that the Youth Entrepreneurship Conference was a success. It was a very good event. We have great participation. The event was also a virtual conference. Owami keeps going with the commitment and the visibility through the Owami different events that we do twice a month, Coffee and Issues and Contractors Architects, as well as the Coffee and Issues that we do in conjunction with Lane County. I can say that we received funding, additional funding from the SBA for the program, the macro loan program, from the U.S. Bank, and also for an Evergreen Business Capital Foundation. They contributed in these hard times to our program for the macro loan program. To close, I want to say that Owami, through all these years, and having the lead with Sam Brooks, we can say we continue working with very professional, efficient, and practical ways to provide services to all of you, to collaborate with all of you. And we do the best that we can to continue this service from Owami. Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Jorge. One of the things when I served as the national chair for Small Business Development Centers in the United States is I met a woman at the University of Georgia who suggested some sage advice that has served us well. Said, have a small board of directors and make it part of the group that you're serving. We've had that. Our board of directors never exceeds 7, but said you should have a large advisory board. And those are the people that come from the community, whether it's education whether it's public service, major corporation, and these folks are capable of helping you achieve the thing, and they report to the chair of the board. And we've had a wonderful group of people over the years. Currently, we have 38 people that sit on the advisory board. The chair of the advisory board currently is Aiden Grunauer, who is from TriMet, and he's going to spend some time talking a little bit about the board of directors, the advisory board.
Thank you so much, Sam, and good afternoon, Owami family. It's so great to see all your beautiful faces on the screen today, and I can't wait for the day when we can all gather together again as a large community in person. Again, my name is Aiden Grunauer, and I manage TriMet's DBE Small Business and Workforce Equity Programs. And I'm absolutely honored to serve you all as a chair of Owami's advisory board. As many of you know, I've been a partner of Owami for many years, and I've been working hard to try to advance economic development for our local small business community. Owami's advisory board, as Sam said, is an amazing group of businesses and public officials who are using their talents and positions to provide input and guidance to Owami. And as the chair of this board, I've challenged the advisory board members to reflect on Owami's strategic plan and pick at least one thing that they will commit to actively working on in the coming year. Owami has been a pillar in our local small business community for 34 years, creating a true family of support with a mission of promoting and developing entrepreneurship for economic development of ethnic minorities, and living its unifying motto, everybody's in and nobody's out. The theme of this year's trade show, Enduring Partnerships, is very fitting and evident by all of you here today. As I was reflecting on the meaning of these two words, enduring or long-lasting, and partnerships, working together to advance mutual interests, that absolutely describes this Owami community. This last year and a half, as we all know, has been incredibly challenging for so many of us. As our economy and society experienced unprecedented challenges from the coronavirus public health crisis to the devastating wildfires, to the spotlight of systemic racism in our country. Many small businesses were faced with having to shut down or reimagine and restructure the way they did business, and had to tap into their community networks just to stay afloat. Small businesses, as Governor Brown so eloquently said, are the backbone of our local economy. We lost so many of them last year, and so many more are currently on the brink of going out of business. So I want to challenge all of the public agencies and large businesses here today to take a deep look and focus on how they can truly help support local small businesses in this coming year, so that these small businesses don't just survive, but they thrive. In closing, I want to thank you all for being here today and for your enduring partnerships. Back to you, Sam.
Much, Aiden. Now I get the pleasure of introducing the moderator for this year's conference, Ozzy Gonzalez. And this is the 8th year that Ozzy has done this, so he's been a stalwart. He's with the principal in P3 Consulting, also does work for Howard S. Wright, and he's been fantastic over these past 8 years. Actually, a little longer than that, but these 8 years as a moderator has been fantastic. Ozzy?
Thank you very much, Sam. It's wonderful to be streaming live from the Owami building out here in North Portland. It's a fantastic opportunity to visit a place that so many of you have come to. It's great to see everybody virtually. I love to see your virtual backgrounds and what you're up to from afar. Can't wait to see you again in person. It is a pleasure to be here for the 33rd annual Business Luncheon. Ozzy Gonzalez, your humble moderator for the day, 8 years in, and we're thrilled to be streaming to you here live today to celebrate partnership and small business working together to make a more resilient Oregon. I'd like to begin today by introducing the Owami Board of Directors, beginning with Samuel Brooks, the Owami founder and chair. Fred Carter, CPA, founding member, secretary, and treasurer. Ed Wilson, president of Ampere Electric. Herb Yamamoto, vice chair and owner of CAD BIM Connection. Summer Fowler, Eco Real Consulting. And Diana Delgado of CE Engineers. Next, I'd like to recognize our sponsors for today's event. Without your partnership, your enduring partnership, and your sponsorship of this event, today would not be possible. In your flyers, in your programs, and on today's screen, you have a list of the sponsors that have helped support us. Thank you so much for all that you do, for all that you're able to carry forward in our message of everybody's in and nobody's out. We couldn't do this without you, and I refer you to the slide on the screen for an image of our sponsors of today's event. Next, I'd like to thank all dignitaries that are present today. I cannot see you out there in the virtual screen, but I want to recognize that your participation, your presence is meaningful to this community in today's event. So I want to thank you, and I welcome you to say hello to everyone in the chat box today. Now, while I'm on the subject of the chat box, I want to recognize that part of today's event is to raise money for the Youth Entrepreneurship Program. And we have an auction for you that closes up until tomorrow at noon. It's live, it's updated now. We have some amazing gifts. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to hit the link in the flyer, in the invitation, or look for the link dropped into the chat today so that you can begin bidding on the auction items. There's a lot to win, and I look forward to competing with you all. For those that know about the Owami auction, well, let's play is what we're going to do. So next, I'd like to acknowledge our advisory board members, and we have a slide with their names and their companies present on the screen for you here. While you have a moment to read through the names, I want to reiterate the message of our advisory board chair, Aidan Gronauer of TriMet, in saying that it is through the voices of our community and the names that you see on the screen now that we're able to do a great job, work together, and make sure that we're representing the interests of the entire Oregon ecosystem. There's a lot of small businesses that are members of the Owami community, and it's the advisory board members that help us make sure that their voices are heard. So thank you so much to the advisory board for your continued commitments, and I look forward to the next year as part of the advisory board to make sure that Owami's success continues into the years ahead. Next, I want to recognize the members of our conference committee and staff that without their dedication and their support, their time, their hours spent making sure today's event is a success, without that, we would not be here today to have this all made possible. I want to thank Margaret Brooks, retired from the and founder and director of the Brooks Foundation. I'd like to thank Humberto Reyna from Reyna Moore Advertising, Vernie Moore from Reyna Moore Advertising, Tiffany Penson from City of Portland Procurement, and a very special thanks to the team behind Best HQ, whose partnership has not only been an enduring one, but who are behind the scenes today, working out all the technical issues and working out today's program to make it a wonderful success. So thank you to the Luncheon Committee and to our media partner, Best HQ. Next, of course, the work that we celebrate today as an Owami community that our president, Jorge Guerra, reported on would not be possible without the day-to-day dedication of the Owami staff. So next, I'd like to recognize our Owami staff, beginning with Jorge Guerra, the president of Owami, Bill Prowse, the director of business development, events, and the youth programs that we are today supporting, Kenyatta Trice, the director of access to capital and marketing, and Tabitha Turner, membership services and office manager. Thank you, Owami staff. We miss you dearly, and we can't wait to come back to this building and visit with you in person once again. And as we clip right along in today's program, before we get to the wonderful panel that lies ahead, I'd like to take a moment to come back to Sam Brooks, who will be presenting this year's 2021 awardees.
Thank you, Ozzy. The award, the Minority Women Emerging Small Business and Service Disabled Veteran Award, goes to two fantastic people. They are P3 Consulting, Ozzy Gonzalez, and EcoReal founder and president Summer Fowler. The award is given to the minority, women, and emerging small business that has best exemplified the mission of Owami. I think we're going to do EcoReal first, and then you, Ozzy.
Thank you so much, Sam. This is such an honor. It's amazing to me to be here today. Speaking of enduring partnerships, that's near and dear to my heart, because without all the partnerships that I built over the last 12 years with my Owami family, we would not be here today. As many of you know, I started EcoReal 2009 when the architecture firm I worked for went under, and it was tough times. There wasn't a crane in the sky. And Sam reminded me it was good to have a mission about sustainability and equity, but I had to make a business plan out of it. And Sam, absolutely, without your mentorship, I would not be here today and able to give back to the community, and so grateful to be able to follow my passion with this mission, but actually make a viable business out of it. I just feel truly blessed and just overwhelmed with gratitude for my Owami family, especially you as a mentor, Sam, and Bill and Jorge, and all the support I get from the Owami staff. Just thank you for everything and being there throughout the good times and the bad. Owami is always there. Thank you so much.
Ozzy.
Well, oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Sam. And Summer, I get to pick it up live in person today. I can't wait to see yours. I am thrilled to be sharing this award with you this year, Summer, especially because it was about 13 years ago that I first heard of Owami through my business partner and great friend and mentor, Summer Fowler. I am really excited to be able to share this award with you this year because over the last 13 years, we have carried the message that you can't have sustainability without equity. And we certainly have really brought that message forward, and Owami has been a tremendous ally the entire time. I'm deeply honored. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you to the Owami community, and you'll be hearing plenty from me later. So I'm just going to say thanks a lot. I appreciate this award.
The next is our corporate award of the year, and that award is given to the corporation or association that has provided and supported opportunities to minority, women, emerging small businesses, service disabled veteran, or assisted Owami in achieving its mission. SAFE is our awardee this year, and accepting the award is a person who I've known over the years, who is the president and CEO of SAFE, Chip Terhune. Chip.
So on my end, I just want to say, on behalf of SAFE, how much it means to us to be a part of Owami, and not just the long relationship that we've had, but frankly, the future. I think on our end, we are thrilled about what lies ahead for all the members of Owami and for Oregon. And I think as just a good partner here, I just wanted to give a shout out to the work that you and Bill and the whole team have done. It means the world to us that you give space where space is hard to find in our economy and in our world. And we are beyond grateful for it. And also just want to give a shout out to Christy, who's a member of your advisory board, newly appointed, and say thank you for embracing us and including us in that endeavor too. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chip, for being a good friend, and also for SAFE, all it does to help us with small businesses in the state of Oregon.
Always, Sam, always. Thank you.
The next award goes for the Public Service Award of the Year, and this year it goes to the Oregon Governor's Office. And this award is given to the public agency that has best exemplified the Owami mission to promote and develop entrepreneurship and economic development, and thereby reducing racism and discrimination in Oregon and Southwest Washington, and supporting minority, women, and emerging small business and service disabled veteran. Accepting the award is Annie Sayo, Economic and Business Equity Manager in the Office of the Governor. This is for all those people that have done wonderful things in the Office of the Governor. Annie?
Thank you so much, Chairman Sam Brooks. And I did receive the award, and I'm here in the governor's office right now. The governor was unable to make it here today. She's actually on her way to DC, but on behalf of the governor and then our office, We're so grateful and thankful to receive this recognition. And we are also deeply grateful for the enduring partnerships that we have with both Owami and the larger Owami community. As the governor mentioned earlier in her message to this trade show, Oregon businesses are truly the backbone of our economy, and it's important to support our small businesses and build bridges to connect with the government sector to create more economic opportunities for minority women and small businesses. However, we're not doing this work alone. We're doing this work together with the support of Owami, and again, so many folks that I have personally met through the Owami community. So I like to just, thank all of you here and thank you for this honor.
Thank you very much too. The next award goes to the Construction Company of the Year. And the reason we have the Construction Company, because we were a very young organization. I remember receiving an award in the construction industry, and I showed up to get the award, and I was the only person of color in the entire room. There's a room with maybe 300 or so people. And I started talking to the group about working, that they should work with us on doing a better job on minority women, emerging small business, and they did. And the construction folks have just been exemplary over the years in working with us, assisting minority women and emerging small business service disabled veterans. This one year, the award goes to Walsh Construction. And something to be said about Walsh Construction, every once in a while, we say, how long, I think that I saw Bob the last, how long have we been knowing each other? 1971. That's a little while. And they've been worked very closely with us. And it hasn't stopped there with the groups that are in the same age group as me. It's Afton Walsh, who's the project manager and the outreach coordinator, will be accepting the award. Comes to the youth conference every year, brings especially women to make sure that our young women understand what's going on in the construction, and they've just been exemplary. So accepting the award is Afton Walsh.
Thanks, Sam. You stole some of my speaking points for my panel when I talk about our, enduring partnerships. Well, thank you. I'm Afton Walsh and honored to be accepting this award on behalf of Walsh Construction, all of my colleagues, and all of the subcontractor partners that really this award is because of all of you and the hard work you do. I think Sam also brought up a good point that our industry is filled with a lot of companies doing a lot of really great work. So I'm honored to represent all of our peers as well. We've been a member of Owami since the very beginning and would not be able to do our work without this great community of like-minded folks who I think both envision a construction industry that's more inclusive, and then can provide the support to keep helping us move forward. A special thank you to Sam and your amazing leadership. I know you keep claiming one day you might not be in person at this event, but I know whenever that day, hopefully in a very, very long time, your legacy and spirit will always loom large and guide us. So thank you, thank you. It's an honor, and I have it here. So, there.
Thank you so much, Afton. Finally, the Chairman's Award. The Chairman Award this time goes to who will soon be the chairman. Herb Yamamoto from BIM Connection and is currently Owami's vice chair. And just remind people, the award goes to the Owami member, partner, or staff that best assists the chair in accomplishing the Owami mission and goals in the community. Herb Yamamoto has been fabulous, not only being the vice chair, but also the work he's done to Owami in Eugene, in Beaverton, and just carrying the message of Owami around our state. In fact, in other places that he is attending. So as Afton said, I've been saying at some point I was going to say, well, it's a done deal. Herb is going to be the chair this time next year. I'm going to move to the Emeritus Board. And for what is the Emeritus Board? It's the folks that have been around a long time. So I will be on the Emeritus Board. Herb will be the chair. And I can tell you we will not miss a beat. So Herb, the award for chairman goes to you. Herb.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you for your kind words, your warm words. And I just have to say, we just thank you so much for being a great model in many ways, on many levels, whether it be investing back in the community, for pioneering DEI as you and your team did over the last 32 years. So thank you, Sam. Today, I truly want to receive this award on behalf of the various action committees and task forces I've had the honor to support this past season. And I truly mean that in a time of challenges. And so I thought I could just spend a minute or two just highlighting those task forces and committees, starting with the City of Portland Action Table on Business, where we were able to team and I was able to represent Owami as we teamed with Sam Adams and the mayor's office to do an initiative this summer to reduce vandalism and plywood blight in downtown. Another one is, as Sam just mentioned, we need to mention our partner in Eugene, CADE, the Contracting Alliance for Diversity and Equity, where we've been able to partner together with our very Owami community here in CADE and Eugene to have a venue in Lane County to spread the message of everybody's in, nobody's out. I'd also like to mention the Oregon Minority Contractors Task Force, as that task force was hosted by the governor's office. You saw Andy here earlier. ODOT, Business Oregon, the COVID office. This was a collaboration that Sam encouraged me to get involved in, where right now we're putting together DEI best practices that we really gathered from agencies and primes right here in this room. And so we thank you for that. You know, beyond that, with these best practices, we've been able to have a collaboration. And this is the last thing I'll say is with DBIA. Many of you might be familiar with the national organization, Design Build Institute of America. Well, I have the honor of representing this community here on the national level as a chair of the National DEI Committee. And I'm just so excited to report that two of our local projects, including the Portland building renovation and PDX Airport, were selected as showcase DEI projects, and their teams will be invited to participate in upcoming regional and national conferences. And so, as Sam has always said, this community is all about relationship. It's all about collaboration. And we just thank you for all the partners and relationships here. With that, Sam, I again thank you and your team for 32 years, wow, of just amazing endeavors in the DEI arena before it was even called DEI. So with that, Sam, I yield the mic back to you.
Thank you very much, Herb. I will be in your corner and watching you do all the work. All right. One of the things, I'm getting ready to turn things back to Ozzy Gonzalez now. And Ozzy had looked over at me and said, we're way ahead of time. Well, if folks know, I'm a believer of being on time and ending on time. And if we can't end on time, we'll end it ahead of time. So I'm going to give some time to Ozzy as he runs the program. He will now bring his panel on board, and I'm sure we'll have a great afternoon listening to all the things that they have to say. So Ozzy, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's wonderful to come back to you now, and we're about to begin the panel discussion part of the program. And luckily, we've got a fantastic panel ahead. We're going to be talking about today's theme, enduring partnerships. And for the panelists out there, I'm glad to see that we've got a little breathing room to get into these topics. We've selected a group of panelists for you today from the public and the private sector, large businesses and small businesses, to help tell us a story about what enduring partnerships mean to them and what partnership is becoming as they look forward in the work that they do. I'd like to introduce each panelist one at a time now. Each of them have a bio much longer than I'm going to be able to give credit for today. They each have an illustrious career, and you can find out a lot more about them in the program that is part of today's luncheon. So if you'd like to dig in a little deeper, all of these folks have a great online presence, and you can learn a lot more about what they've done. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our panelists each one by one, beginning with our Multnomah County Chair, Deborah Kafuri. Deborah Kafuri is the sitting chair of Multnomah County. She leads the organization, sets the county's policy priorities, and works with the Board of County Commissioners to implement them. Over the last year, Chair Kafuri has overseen Multnomah County's COVID-19 response. And a side note, Multnomah County is the region's public health authority and the state's largest provider of social safety net services. So this is no small task that she has been at the helm of over the last year plus. And as if that were not enough, Chair Kafori has also directed the implementation of 2 historic voter-approved bond measures, the Preschool for All program and the Multnomah County Library Bond Program. And all of this after spearheading the voter-approved, record-setting $2.4 billion supportive housing services bond measure. Chair Kafori, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Joining us on the panel is our next panelist, Louis Fontenot Jr., Vice President of Development Management at Trammell Crow. Now, Louis is responsible for Trammell Crow's local industrial and mixed-use development portfolio. He manages projects from design and procurement through construction. Mr. Fontenot returns to us in Portland after a stint in Houston, Texas, where he was the general manager at Chesterfield Engineering. Last time Mr. Fontenot lived here in Portland, he worked at the then called Portland Development Commission, now known as Prosper Portland, as well as the Northeast Community Development Corporation. Mr. Fontenot Jr. also serves as part of the directors on the NAOP board. So thank you so much, Louis Fontenot Jr., for joining us today. Say hello to the crowd.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great being here. Thank you for inviting me.
And next, for those that like to come to the Owami meetings, you will recognize this gentleman who has been at the meetings for years. We are joined now by Mr. Neil Lee, architect and principal at Lika Architecture and Planning. Welcome, Neil. Neil is the owner and operator of Lika Architecture Planning. Mr. Lee's firm works on commercial and public sector projects and has been recognized locally with an Owami Minority Business of the Year Award. It's great to be in that club with you, Neil, in 2012, and a DJC Oregon Building Diversity Award in 2019. Mr. Lee also serves his community as president of the Oregon Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association and the Portland Lees Association. His firm, Lika Architecture and Planning, has been a proud Owami member since 2000. Neil, it's wonderful to have you visiting with us today. Welcome. Say hello to the group.
Right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here and, happy to impart any of my experiences with you. Thank you.
Fantastic. We look forward to hearing about that. And next, we have one of this year's award recipients, Afton Walsh, Community Outreach Director and Project Manager for Walsh Construction Company. Now, Mrs. Walsh grew up in the construction industry, and her commitment to the community is evident throughout her work. Her role at Walsh Construction means that she is responsible for directing Walsh's equity work and delivering on the company's commitment to provide on apprenticeship, workforce training, and mentoring opportunities through her projects. Mrs. Walsh serves on the board of the Portland Community College Foundation, as well as the Eco Trust. Congratulations and welcome, Afton.
Great to be here, and with this great group, looking forward to a good discussion.
Fantastic. And last but not least, we have Anthony Velis, owner, founder, and great co-conspirator of EZO Public Relations and Marketing. Anthony Velis is the owner and founder of EZO Public Relations and Marketing, a multicultural agency based in Woodburn, Oregon. Go Woodburn. EZO recently launched Story Jobs, a digital diversity and inclusion recruitment platform targeting diverse college and university students and millennials. Senor Velis was also founded the Oregon Latinx Leadership Network, OYEN. In response to the COVID-19 in March of 2020, OYAN is a collective movement of over 100 Latino-led and Latino-serving community-based organizations throughout the entire state of Oregon, who, under Anthony's leadership, were able to mobilize the distribution of healthcare and educational resources to all regions of the state. Anthony Velis, welcome. Say hello. It's an honor to have you.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really, I'm humbled and honored to be here with all of you and the panelists here. So thank you for having me.
Now, fantastic. With this great group of folks, I want to point out, if anybody out there in the audience has not already set their view to speaker view, then this is a good time to do so. You're welcome to continue to use the chat box. You're welcome to continue to look for auction items. Keep an eye on what you want to win. But now's a good time to focus here on what we're about to have, a great discussion on the theme of enduring partnerships. So let's begin that by talking about your story and your connection with Owami. Every one of you here today has a story of how you first connected with this particular organization. So to kick off the topic, let's get that little bit of that backstory. Let's see here. Who might have the longest story to tell? I'm going to start with Afton Walsh Construction, because that story, I think, spans even more than my life and Afton's. Please, what can you tell me about your partnership with Owami?
Yeah, thanks. It's great to start. My personal, this is kind of a personal story, I guess. I've been attending and engaged with Owami for about 3 years since I moved back to the Oregon region. And as I entered my role, I think one of the first rooms that I found myself in was a contractors meeting out at Owami, and I was very nervous to introduce myself, and just found this wonderful, warm group of people, all with really shared values and working towards the same goals. And it's my favorite way to spend a Friday morning ever since. So, but on the history side, I think what's really special is, as Sam alluded, my father, Bob Walsh, and Sam go back, I think he said 1971. And really those early days of Owami. In 1987, so the same year that Owami opened their doors, Walsh Construction was the first contractor west of the Mississippi to receive the Minority Contractor Utilization Award from HUD. And I think that that's not a coincidence, and that our two organizations have really been working together ever since the 80s to make our region more inclusive and provide thriving opportunities for all small businesses. So it's personal, and it's a long history. So thank you for all their great work, and I'll pass it on to whoever wants to. Back to you, Ozzy.
Thanks a lot, Afton. Let's see here. I know that this is not a competition for who's been here the longest, but I know that we all have a pretty extensive history here if we add up the years. Chair Kafuri, please regale us with a little bit of that history of partnership with Owami.
Thanks, Ozzy. Well, similar to Afton's story, my generational Portland family here as well. And when I was first running for my very first office for the Oregon State Legislature in 1998, and my mother, Gretchen Kafuri, who had known Sam for years, my mother said, if you're running for office in Northeast Portland, you got to go meet Sam Brooks. I, of course, had already known Sam because I went to high school with his daughter, Marion, in another small world of Portland. But it was, right. I met with him. He was one of the first people I met with, and was able to, form my own relationship with him and Owami, separate from the one that my mother has had. And since then, and especially since my work at Multnomah County, we have worked very closely with Owami over the years, focusing on meeting our diversity goals on many of our construction projects, like the Health Department headquarters and the new Multnomah County Courthouse. And Owami was at the table during the development of our project labor agreements, and was a key voice in helping us establish the diversity goals and support to certified firms. We continue to work very closely with Owami throughout on all the projects we work on, and are really excited to continue that relationship. on our next projects. So thank you to years of partnership and friendship with Owami.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing up that early work. Owami is known today for doing so much in the access to capital space, and we have so many other community partners, inclusive in our audience, that are part of that PLA agreement and discussion today. But it's great to recognize that when these terms were still kind of coming out, it was those early partners like the county and Owami that were able to start hammering through these early discussions. So now, and a little bit of a shift now, Louis, I know that we met through this panel discussion, but you also have a lengthy history with Owami. Could you please tell us about some of that?
Yes, my relationship with Owami started 26 years ago when I moved to Portland and started working for in the affordable housing arena, worked for NECDC at the time. And I was asked to go attend a coffee and issues meeting at Owami. And that's when I learned that if you want to be connected in Oregon, Owami was the place to be. And through attending various functions at Owami, I met the then director of the state housing department, and then many department heads at Prosper Portland, contractors, architects, and many others, some of which I had the pleasure of working with then, and some I even work with to this day, and others I just got to know. It was through these relationships that my career flourished. And those relationships served me well when I worked for Prosper Portland, and even now that I'm at the Trammell Crow Company. Owami helped to connect me with the leadership of Portland and of Oregon, and for that I will always be grateful.
Fantastic. Well, thanks a lot, Louis. Now, I know that it's great to see that it's not just, the large business or the community serving pieces. There's small business relationships that are formed, and that through a connection with Owami, you've made other connections as well. We'll get into those other connections in a sec. But now I'd like to go to you, Anthony. I know that you are a small business owner and are very much a community service driven mission person. Can you tell me about what sort of partnership was formed with you and Owami in your work?
Absolutely. So again, thank you again, everybody, for having me here today, Owami. But my relationship started, I knew about Owami before they knew about me, most certainly. Again, if you're an Oregonian and you're involved at any level of public service or work in the private sector, you will have heard of Sam Brooks and Owami. And so actually, I started my business in 2009. But before that, I really actually ran into Jorge Guerra from time to time and really kind of built a relationship from afar with him. And eventually when I started my business, as I mentioned, in 2009, the first place I had to go, right, was to go to the Owami meetings on early Friday morning from Woodburn, Oregon, right? It was a little drive, getting up early. I think it was like a 5 o'clock get up. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. But, since the beginning, I got the honor and pleasure of meeting Sam and Jorge and get to know them a little bit better. And, again, I think I would say, I just felt at home, right away. First day one, they come up to you and they say hello. They know everybody who goes to these meetings. And if you're a new face, they're going to come up to you and say hi. And that was a really warm feeling. And since all these years passed, I see a lot of familiar faces, folks that I've met through Owami. So that is my first, I guess, how I met and Sam and Jorge and the real introduction, but I knew about them way before they knew about me. So I'm really, this is one of the very few spaces in Oregon at the time that where, diversity and everybody was included to come, right? It wasn't just for one group or another. I really felt welcome. I am not in the construction, I'm in marketing, right? But the door was always open and there was always opportunities for all. So thank you.
Fantastic, Anthony. And, thanks for recognizing that. We in today's panel, we've got a lot of folks in the design and construction space, myself included. And for those that come to Owami meetings, you'll see that we have businesses represented from across all industries. And it's great to see that those partnerships can be formed. Neil, tell us about your connection with Owami over the years. What has that done and meant for you?
All right. Well, it started way back when I was a young project manager working for Millicook Architects. I had some relationships in the Chinese community way back when too. And I met this guy named CC Lee at a Chinese New Year's party. And this guy had just purchased a firm in Beaverton, Oregon. And we had a chat, we exchanged cards, and we had lunch probably about a month later. And next thing I know, he said, "Hey, I'm looking for a partner, and I'd like you to be my partner." So I said, "Well, okay." Anyway, so I joined up with his firm, Stoa International Architects, and he had this. He had met Sam Brooks, and I guess he had some marketing and some ads going on. And so we had a meeting with Sam Brooks. And so we went over to, the building down there on Alberta Street. And yeah, that's the first time I met Sam in person. And from there, I started going to the Owami meetings on a regular basis. I was just kind of like a little wallflower in the back room, but through time, I just kept showing up, and I learned lots of stuff there. I learned, I became more confident of my ability to network, and it's been a long, enduring, and fruitful partnership with Owami since then. And I've done a lot of stuff which I can talk about a little later. But I really appreciate having that partnership with Owami and having all those opportunities along the way of my career.
It's been great to see you attending those meetings over the years, and to watch you come off the wall and really start to step forward. For those that haven't come, it's been alluded to a couple of times. Meetings are monthly at 7:30 in the morning. And when they happen in real life, we get folks coming from the coast, from Bend, Oregon, from Lane County, have come up for these early meetings. And it's not for nothing, but we get rooms with hundreds of people at that hour in Northeast Portland. And it's one of the best networking opportunities that you can get in the state. So let's actually talk about what people do through partnership. Now, it's great to recognize that, we're seeing such diverse faces from different walks of life, all having a common story of coming to find this organization and find partnership. And it's not all just about partnerships with Owami. We all find other partners to do other great things at this watering hole. And so please, let's talk a little bit about some of the partnerships that are driving your work currently. And let's see, we're going to shift it up a little bit. I want to start with you, Anthony. What partnerships have you been working on currently? What are you excited to share in the realm of partnerships?
Well, that's a great question, especially in these times, right? We've been COVID, so we've had to kind of relearn partnerships. But I think with Zoom, right? And so just getting over the technology is just like one hurdle. But as far as partnerships, I think that's what this is about. In Owami, the spirit of Owami, it's about working together. When I first started my business, I was trying to do it all and be all. But when I finally kind of hit me, when you get those aha moments right at 3 a.m. and said, why I need to, it's all about relationships, all about partnerships. And so I think that I know for my business has flourished because of those. I've always connected and networking, but I think partnerships is something it's a different level, right? You're actually, whether it's a win-win situation and people are, and I think, one of the things that I probably don't do as well is, ask people for help, right? But when you ask people for help, then people are willing to come together. And again, I've worked with some of you on this who are participating. And I think that's what really has been, the secret sauce for me is about those relationships, those partnerships, and not only just a one-way, but two-way. And then you have to nourish those partnerships, right? Because especially when things aren't going as well as you would like, and you can really have those trusted confidants and to bounce things off of. In a small business, we have to do it all. I'm sure everybody in their place of their space and work have to do it all at some level. And sometimes it's just really great to be able to lean on some folks and have them share some of their wisdom.
I like that you can just ask sometimes for that partner. Sounds like, Neil, that was what happened when you started your business. What is it? What kind of partnerships are you asking for now, or what are you working on now, Neil?
Well, let me start that to say that, being with Owami and learning how to network, I found that you need to continue to show up, right, and be visible. And therefore, if you're visible, the opportunity will start coming to you. And because of my association with Owami, I did pick up some really significant projects through the association with Owami. I think, I ran into CH2M Hill at a Christmas party, and they were looking for some DBE and MBE partners on the Milwaukee Light Rail project. And that's how I kind of got into that. I got contracted with CH2M Hill, and then I worked with ZGF as a small architect. And I ended up working on the 2 light rail stations on the west side. It's the 4th and Lincoln and the South Waterfront. So I'm really proud of those developments, and I love the idea of having thousands of people go through there. And I'm proud to say that, I had something to do with that.
How exciting, and good time to plug that. TriMet's going to be designing a lot more stations here in their new redevelopment and expansion plans. So hopefully you get to be a part of helping design more stations for the region, Neil. So speaking of shining a light on partnerships, Chair Kafuri, please shine a light on some partnerships happening actively right now with you and the work you're doing.
Well, thank you. We know how crucial partnerships are to getting things done. And I'm excited to say that we at Multnomah County are gearing up for 2 major projects, which I'm sure that I hope all of you have heard about. We have the voters of Multnomah County passed a library bond last year. So we have the library bond construction project, which is multiple sites around our county, and that project is already underway. And then we're working on the earthquake-ready Burnside Bridge project. I know that we're going to continue to be in close partnership with Owami as you are a key partner to helping us build diversity and inclusion into these projects. And again, working with us on our PLA development. And it's really exciting too that Earthquake Ready Burnside Bridge project is going to be a monumental undertaking for Multnomah County. It's more than nearly 3 times the cost of the Selwood Bridge. So we're going to need all the support and all the partnerships that we can get to pull that off. So two areas that we're focused on right now. One of them is the Construction Careers Pathway Project called C2P2. It's we're partnering with area agencies like Metro and the City of Portland so that we can build a more diverse construction workforce through this project. And that has really been exciting and important work. We're also working very closely with construction trade groups to help provide technical assistance and training through our Construction Diversity and Equity Fund. And this fund also supports pre-apprenticeship organizations and retention for apprentices. So this is just so crucial. As I said, there's a lot. You might not see as many cranes in the sky today as a couple years ago, but in the upcoming years, we're going to see a lot. And we know that we're going to need a strong and diverse workforce. Luckily, we have a great partner like Owami.
Goodness, thank you for bringing a light on that, because not only is Owami a willing and able partner, but you've got an audience full of folks that I think are going to be an essential part of this process. So for those out there in the audience, Multnomah County's looking at this is recognizing that we need to grow a workforce while we're busy building things. And your partnership in that is going to be so critical. So if you've got spaces, openings, get fully registered, become training agents, make sure you're providing opportunities for folks throughout the community to not only join your projects, your companies, but to become part of this growing industry. Thank you so much. Let's see here. So Afton, do you guys do libraries, or can you tell me about what you're working on these days?
I wish. Those libraries are going to be wonderful. I cannot wait to see. Yeah, I think, partnerships are so important. I think our world is getting more complex. Some of the things we're seeing with supply chain disruption, all this is just telling us that we need to band together as our country becomes divided. I think partnerships are one thing that will help us come back together. And I think informal partnerships, mentorship, participating in groups like Owami. I think, Deborah mentioned a lot of those great things. Partnerships along the full continuum, I think, are super important, and we're involved with, pre-apprenticeship programs, the union training programs, minority contracting group. I mean, really we have a lot of partnerships with high schools trying to get the next generation of kids into the trades, to really show them opportunities of living wage careers, which I think is so important. Of all of those, I think the partnership that I'm most proud of, and we're celebrating this year, our 10th anniversary partnership with O'Neill Construction Group. And together we have a joint venture partnership, O'Neill Walsh Community Builders, or call it OWCB for short. And I think that that's an example of a formal partnership. We're a legal entity. We contract work together. And I liked what Anthony brought up, the sort of the win-win concept. I think even though we're the larger company and they're a smaller MBE firm, we really we learn from each other. And my partner Maurice Roming, he always describes it as the sharing of intellectual property. And I think that that's so important. And I know that I've learned so much from Maurice and Allie and from their business, and for us to learn how the challenges that smaller businesses encounter is so important, and allows us to do our jobs better. And I think that so that's kind of our main part, our biggest partnership, and one that I'm really proud of. And I would encourage everyone listening today to seek those sort of formal partnerships if they arise. I think it gives everyone a level of accountability. When you have to kind of stick it out for the long haul, I think it makes it a really rich partnership.
That's a really exciting partnership that Walsh and O'Neill have formed. It's certainly one I've been keeping an eye on. And for those that were not aware, it's a great alliance that is now really becoming a force in the market. So I'm really curious to hear about that sometime. I hope in the future Walsh and O'Neill are willing to go step out in the community and talk a little bit about that partnership, and how it has formed, and how it's positioning you as a new entity in the marketplace.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely, our goal is to have others replicate, no trade secrets.
So stay tuned. How wonderful. Those are competitions that I think are fantastic ones to have. So let's talk about, let's see here, what other partnerships? Louis, please share with us right now, what are you working on in the form of partnerships? How is it positioning you uniquely, or what sort of new alliances are you making?
So serving on NAIOP's national board and on the local chapter Oregon board, I get a chance to see what we're doing with the partnerships that we have going on nationally and locally. So top of mind of everybody is COVID. So let's start there. So NAIOP, through our research foundation, is partnering with brokers, building owners, and the CDC in providing the best practices and improving safety against the coronavirus and for our building occupants. And we have a foundation report that's on the national website, naop.org, that you can download and find out what the current best practices are right now. Now, switching over to Capitol Hill and to state capitals, NAIOP is also actively working with elected officials on legislative issues affecting its welfare, from tax policy to infrastructure to energy efficiency and sustainability.
Now, locally, the NAIOP Oregon chapter, a few years back, we partnered with Metro, the Port of Portland, Portland Business Alliance, and Business Oregon to do a comprehensive review of the region's inventory of large industrial sites, assessing their readiness to support new private sector jobs. And it's probably time that we refresh that. And so in the few months or coming years, you'll be hearing more about that. And now this last one's what the local board is doing here in Oregon, in Portland. And this is hot off the press from our last meeting. We're now investigating ways to partner with the city of Portland, Multnomah County, and other industry groups to help Portland safely reopen and to revitalize Portland's downtown.
Hurry up. No, I'm kidding. That's great to know. And it's, thank you for bringing up NAIOP once again, because you know that there is an important partner in our community there, and the need for opening up Portland in a safe way, and having folks, you know, come back into downtown, come back and participate as businesses is key. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing there. Let's see, there's, I really like that we're talking about different ways and different motivations for partnership. Afton, you said something that really intrigued me. And I'd like to dig into what this could mean for future partnerships. You mentioned that in a world where we see so much division, partnerships can help remove divisions. And Anthony, you mentioned the win-win strategy. One of my favorite things about partnership is that it recognizes the things we have in common, and it makes that the motivation for putting some good brains together to do work. And I'd love to hear from you, each of you, from your perspective. What are some of the new partnerships, some of the perhaps odd combinations that are becoming more relevant today as we're having to work through more integrated solutions, as we break down silos, and as we try to remove those divisions that have so much held us back from doing the best we could? Let's see. Neil, I'd like to begin with you this time. What are you thinking about partnerships, either some that you're forming, some that you'd like to see formed in this community to address the divisions or the challenges that we have?
Well, let me see here. You know, I have been trying, as a small business, part of my business plan is to try to collaborate with other small minority businesses to work together and gain capacity, but also to work with larger businesses to also partner with them to work on larger projects. In particular, I was contacted by Parametrics, which in turn turned me over to WSP, and eventually was contracted to work on the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project. So I'm hoping to see that develop as it goes, but they're very, WSP is wanting to use more minority businesses to get more collaboration and get more equity in there. They also, you know, with COVID, they also have a program for all of the businesses that's contracted to come up with a COVID program for each business, right? So I have one, I've had one already, but you know, you put one together so that you can be able to work, for one thing, because now with the state of Washington and their mandates for having inoculations and stuff like that. So, you know, I think that's important, especially today. And then just real quick, you know, I also collaborate with people outside of my business in a community service way to help collaborate with other entities to become together. Even though that some of us are adverse to each other, we're coming together to do a common good. For instance, I'm working with the Oregon Old Town Community Association and some other people that's associated with them to work on redeveloping Old Town Chinatown. And you know, there are some people that have different ideas. So but the thing is that we're all focused on trying to redevelop Old Town Chinatown in an equitable way. And so I think that's really good too. And it is helping to kind of mend some divisions that I have with other associations and peoples, because even though that we have separate ideas, we all have the one idea of trying to improve Chinatown and Old Town.
There's nothing like a shared challenge to bring us together and remind us of the parts that we actually have in common. And I appreciate, Neil, that you're bringing forward an example of something that's not directly tied to a business or a job function, but that's coming from the things you spend your free time doing. And I hope that the audience is hearing about some cool projects that they might be interested in, that some of the folks on the panel are bringing up, because this idea of partnerships is not always limited to the formal intergovernmental agreements or contract related partnerships like the Walsh O'Neill partnership. Sometimes it's that you're an interested neighbor, an interested business or citizen that wants to make sure that your voice is heard. There's folks that are very much interested in making sure that whatever ideas we come up with don't have a blind spot. So your voice is important. Let's see. I really appreciate where we're going with this conversation. Let's see here. Neil, I'm going to hop across the screen on my side. You're at the other corner. I don't know how it looks to other folks in the audience. Let's touch now on, from your perspective, what are some new partnerships that you either are working on or would love to see happen?
So NAIOP is going to continue to do what we've always done. So we're going to continue to strengthen partnerships by providing unparalleled networking opportunities, educational opportunities, programming rather, research trends and innovation, and maintaining a strong legislative presence. And we're looking to broaden our reach and becoming a more inclusive organization, because we understand that integrating people, culturally diverse people from all diverse backgrounds, yields new voices and global viewpoints, increasing productivity and creativity for commercial real estate, and attracting diverse professionals enriches the talent pool and enables the industry to stay relevant and in touch with an ever globally increasing community. Now, NAIOP has partnered with Prologis in providing a scholarship for commercial real estate professionals, to helping to prepare a pipeline of women and diverse people in careers in development and operations. Locally, NAIOP is forming a partnership with Owami, because it's time for our two groups to meet and mingle and get to know each other. In the coming months, you'll see NAIOP members at Owami events, and we encourage you to attend NAIOP events and consider joining our organization, because we know networking is the stepping stone to creating lasting partnerships, and partnerships build businesses.
Thank you. And as we've heard from some of the other folks on the panel, sometimes that first meeting you show up to is just kind of getting a feel for the space and who shows up and how things go. Networking is a process. We don't just make those partnerships perhaps the first time or the second time, but by staying out there, staying connected, and continuing to network, those partnerships evolve. It's an ongoing process. Anthony, what are you working on these days, or what sort of partnerships would you like to see in the community?
Well, there's two really different, what I'm seeing and what I'm involved in, two different partnerships. One is around sustainability. As you know, I own a marketing company, so we do communication. But one of the things about, Oregon, obviously we have a very beautiful state, and trying to be good environmental and stewards, right? Sustainability, all this stuff that we kind of take it for granted, but in communities of color, a lot of those messages have never been really accented, so to speak. And so, trying to just create the narrative and the language that, especially communicating with people that English isn't their first language, about the beauty and, and of Oregon and the environment and how the importance of sustainability and recycling, all these things. So I think that is really interesting. And my work has taken me globally because of the fact that though I feel like we're the center of the universe when it comes to sustainability, environmental stewards and all that, a lot of other countries in Latin America are doing the same. So even the language piece, right? How do they say certain things in that industry? It's been really interesting for me. The other piece has to do with just the last year and a half, mental health. And I know we talked a lot about the business of business and work, but it's really at the end of the day, it's people that drive businesses. And the toll that COVID-19 and George Floyd, the fires in Southern Oregon, the winter storm, now the vaccination has really taken on people individually like me and others with their mental health, right? So that's taken me into a whole space, body, mind, spirit. And how do you, again, to take that stigma away that it's okay if you're, I guess, mentally not, where you want to be, right? We talk a lot we all understand physical pain, but psychological, mental wellness, I think is something that has taken me. And I think partnerships in that area really are just, how do we communicate that to our employees and even business owners, people like ourselves. We all carry some level of stress. And so those are the two areas that I think that over the last year are partnerships that I've created, and it's taken me into some very interesting places and spaces.
Good. There's no coincidence that the change management industry is on a growth trajectory right now, with so many businesses having to change internal culture or businesses having to change business models, the way we work. All of those things are prompting a lot of change, and change management is becoming an important part of a process. So any change management folks out there, I would encourage you to join the community and help bring your value proposition to the table. Let's see here. Afton, I'd like to go with you, and then Chair Kafuri will get some thoughts from you about emerging partnerships and the close. Afton, what are you seeing on the horizon? What would you like to see?
I think what I'm seeing, and it makes me really optimistic, is that really there's sort of, as we're looking at and tackling these larger sort of systems level barriers, I think we all have to kind of band together, and we can't solve it with just one perspective. So I think bigger partnerships and alliances, Neil, I know you spoke to a few of those about, Old Town and Chinatown, that in order to kind of fix these big issues, we need everyone involved, all the different, so if it's affordable housing, we need the developers, the contractors, the subcontractors, the financiers, we need everyone who's involved in that system to look at what are the barriers and how can we all work together. I think a really great example of that is also the Safe from Hate Alliance. I know there's a lot of people in this call who have been really involved in working very hard there, that, we have this big issue we want to tackle, changing construction job site culture, and just a contractor can't do it, or just Walsh. We need, Hardest Right, Anderson, Walsh. We need everyone at the table to kind of tackle these big issues. So I think it's these really collaborative, larger partnerships that allow all the stakeholders and all of those parties affected kind of have a seat at the table for that bigger change.
Thank you, Afton. Chair Kafuri, what are you hearing in the panel today? What are you seeing that you'd or like to see in the realm of partnerships in the future?
I just really appreciate all that folks have talked about so far. What a great panel you've put together, Ozzy. Thank you for your work on this. And I especially liked Anthony's calling out of people's emotional and mental health and well-being. I think that is so often overlooked, and we've really learned, hopefully, especially during this pandemic, that we can't overlook that. It's a key component to how well we can do our jobs. Multnomah County being a public entity and with taking very seriously the fact that we're, the dollars that we're using for procurement are not ours, they're yours. And we work even though it's not necessarily a new partnership, it will be to the next person that we partner with that we haven't partnered with in the past. And we work really hard to ensure that we are reaching all corners of our community. So it's not just the same people getting the same contracts time and time again. We're reaching out to small business owners, women and minority owned businesses across our community to ensure that the dollars that we're collecting from you as your tax dollars can go back to you and support your communities, your families, and your neighborhoods. And with that, I do want to remind everyone to sign up on the Multnomah County Marketplace Supplier Portal. It's on our website, multco.us. And it's a great way to connect so that when we have contracts and we were going out for bid, we have your information so we can get in contact with you and you can get in contact with us. Because we know that as we're trying to rebuild our community after the devastation that's been COVID, we need to make sure that people have a chance to make money and to get their families and their livelihoods back on track as we rebuild our community. So thanks again.
That's beautiful. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, people of all stripes, we're coming to a close on the panel. Panelists, we've got 223 people online right now listening to your words. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up and close up today's program? Chair Kafoury?
I just really want to say thank you to you, Ozzy, to Sam and Bill and everyone else at Owami for inviting me to participate today and putting together this panel and continuing to do this fabulous luncheon, even though we're not there together in person. Next year, we're going to be back together in person. Thank you again. Please reach out to me if anybody on the call has questions about anything that I've talked about today, or if you want to know anything more. I'll put my email in the chat, but we look forward to what comes next. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chair Kafoury. Value your time and your presence and your voice here. Louis Fontenot.
So partnerships are the bedrock of our country. It's stated in the preamble of the Constitution. We the people. And as long as the city, county, state, and country remember this, we can continue to thrive and be successful. So I challenge everyone here to broaden your existing partnerships and, most importantly, to create new ones. And so thank you for inviting me to serve on this fantastic panel and discuss partnerships and Owami. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your words, Mr. Fontenot. Mr. Neil Lee.
Yeah, so I guess thank you everyone for listening in, and thank you, Ozzy, for this panel. These people are wonderful. Kind of some words of wisdom: learn how to network, make friends, get their trust, build a big network, because you never know where that opportunity will come from. The larger the network you have, the more opportunity you have, or if you have an opportunity, you can pass it on to one of your people in your network, and they will thank you for it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neil, for your words of wisdom. Anthony Velez, any final words?
Yeah, again, thank you, Ozzy. You did an outstanding job. Thank you so much for all your work and all of Owami. But I would just say, for me personally, it's all about relationships. I think that's those. So once I feel like you have those solid relationships, then whatever comes at you, the good, the bad, or indifferent, that I think you can work through things, because not everything's always going to be easy. Not everything's always going to be kind of kumbaya, so to speak. And especially in these times, right? We're challenged with many, many things. And so I think when those relationships are strong, those are the times that we can work together. The easy stuff's the easy stuff. And I would also just leave with anybody out there. I'm a certified firm. Make sure COVID to become a certified firm. It's been very beneficial for me. And I know that we don't have enough companies that are registered. So I would encourage everybody to be registered. Thank you.
Fantastic message, Anthony. Afton, any final words?
I'll echo everyone. Just thank you for such a great conversation, and I feel very honored to be in this great group. Oregon has some real challenges to overcome in the coming years, but also great opportunities. And I think that us and the next generation, if we can just carry on Sam Brooks's legacy and embody the Owami values, that we will definitely emerge a stronger state. And let's live everybody's in and nobody's out.
Well said, and way to bring us into the message. Thank you once again to all the panelists, and to those of you in the audience. I want to recognize that these enduring partnerships, as we've heard today, not only position your businesses, but they position your community for success as well. Whether it's a family connection, a weekend hobby, or a business resource, you'd never know where you're going to find that next enduring partnership. And in today's age, where we have just come through a period of really buckling down to find who those critical connections are in our life, we have all sort of come around the corner, ready to grow our bubble once again, find that next batch of enduring partners. So I encourage you to step out of your bubble, out of perhaps your normal, and find new partnerships, innovative partnerships, perhaps uncanny partnerships, so that you can start seeing a broader lens. So whether it's you want to deepen your local community connection, or whether you want to find partners from other cities or other countries to help expand your lens, those are the ingredients for resilience and for long-term success. Again, thank you so much to the panelists for joining us and sharing your words. Thank you to the Owami family and the Owami community for coming together to celebrate another luncheon, this 33rd annual celebration of our community. And with that, before I pass it along to Sam Brooks for our closing comments, I want to remind you once again to please make sure and celebrate the support of the Youth Entrepreneurship Program by looking at those auction items, bidding, and playing hard on winning some fantastic gift bags that include sports packages, wine packages, local experiences, and Owami swag. So with that, please remember to support the silent auction, benefit the youth program, and to save the date for the next trade show. And am I stealing thunder from you, Sam, at this point?
I'll get caught up.
We are all getting caught up. And so with that, I'm going to pass it on over to Sam to bring us home and invite you into next year's trade show. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be with you today.
Fabulous. Thank you, Ozzy. You were fantastic. The proclamation from the governor. There are a number of whereases, and I'm not going to read the whereases, but I am going to read the now therefore. The now therefore says, I, Kate Brown, Governor of the State of Oregon, hereby proclaim October 20th, 2021 to be Minority Women, Emerging Small Business and Disabled Service Veterans Day. So this will be at Owami. If anybody wants to come see it, we'll be there for you to come see it. Then I want to just say this, that I've been here at Owami all these years, but I wasn't just doing, Owami is not all of my life. I was also running a company, Brooks Staffing, for 37 years. And most important thing I want to say that is we all need partners. And I had a partner for 48 years, and that's Margaret Brooks. 48 years we've been married. She was in the business during the whole time. You need to think about who your partner is going to be. It may not be your spouse, but if it's a partner, that helps you get there. So I want to thank her for all the 48 years as a partner, and also for running a business that allows us to run that business successfully and retire successfully. The conference for next year is set for Thursday, May the 12th, 2022. If you were one of our sponsors this year, we hope that you will be a sponsor next year and bring some other sponsors along. I may not be as involved as I've been over the years, but I'll do all that I can. So with that, I believe we're gonna have a nice video on the silent auction, and then you're gonna let folks go Zoom in the Zoom room some for a while. So with that, we have a video, I believe.
Hello and welcome to the 2021 Owami Silent Auction. We have some wonderful items for you all to bid on. Right here we have a Lego bundle set with some nice whiskey for your fall cider. Next here we have a massage and wine basket. This particular gift includes a 60-minute deep tissue massage, so make sure you get your bids in. Moving right along, we have Marco Unlimited. They donated this lovely water bottle with this Nike hoodie. It's really, really nice. And last, we have this gift set from Delish Kitchen. Also, we have some lovely wine from Anderson Construction. We hope that you guys join us and get your bids in. These are great gifts for the upcoming holidays and just a way to relax during this fall season. Get your bids in.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Tabitha, for showing us some of those great prizes. And I would like to take the last moment just to let you all know the Zoom breakout rooms will now be opened. You are welcome to hop around. If you're already familiar with the breakout function in Zoom, you can move from one breakout room to another. You can see who is hosting the breakout rooms through the breakout room options. And so now you are all welcome to move on into breakout rooms. They will remain open for the next hour at 2:30 p.m. Both the breakout rooms and this live stream will end. So thank you so much once again, and we'll see you in the breakout rooms.